Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than my normal style. I originally wasn't going to talk about this subject, but as I've been on my healing journey, the more I talk to other friends that are nomads as well, I started to realize that a lot of female nomads go through this alone, and there's a lot of videos talking about breakups on YouTube, but there isn't really anything talking about going through a breakup as a nomad. I decided to sit on the idea of this video. I realized in talking to a lot of my friends who have recently gone through breakups, going through a breakup as a nomad is a whole other challenge. You don't have the support of your friends, you don't have the comfort of your home, you don't have the support of your family, you truly are alone. Sometimes you might even be in a new place, you might be in a new country, a place that you don't have a support system, a normal routine that a lot of people don't realize is such a lonely place to be. I am proof that when you come on the other side, you get an inner strength that you truly didn't know you have, as far as really up leveling to the next level of yourself. Personally, I'm somebody who is always trying to grow and challenge myself, which is why I've moved to so many countries, which is why I've kind of chosen this path. Not that I enjoy going through heartbreak at all, but I will say that as somebody who really loves self-growth, this has pushed me to a higher version of myself that I would have taken longer to get to if I didn't go through my breakup and heartbreak. So I'm gonna touch on a little bit about my personal experience. If you've been following my channel for a long time, you know you have seen all of my travel vlogs. I traveled alone before I met my ex for a couple of years, so I was a very independent person. I had a lot of personal experience traveling alone and moving to multiple different countries. About a year or so before COVID, I went and visited home because at the time I was living in Costa Rica. My plan was to grab everything from Costa Rica, and I also had stuff still in Hawaii. I had also just done my birthright trip to Israel and lived in Israel for a couple of months, and I decided to grab all my stuff. I was either going to decide to live in Israel or I was going to move to Europe. When I went home to visit, I happened to stay there for a bit and I ended up meeting my ex-boyfriend. My ex-boyfriend had traveled to some places, but he had never really lived this nomad life and was very much in his comfort zone of kind of staying in one place, staying in California, and really sticking to his routine. When we met, I kind of started to push him to travel more. We went to Vietnam together. When we got back from Vietnam, reality kind of hit us really quick and COVID started to happen and all the lockdowns started to happen. And we both kind of got to this place of we want to get out of California and we want to get out of the US. Originally, we were going to try to book an RV and kind of just road trip through the US, but at the time, because all of travel was kind of shut down, renting an RV was 3 times more as expensive than jumping on a flight and going to a different country. So originally we had a one-way ticket to Spain. As COVID kind of get a little bit more intense, our flight kept getting canceled. Eventually we ended up getting a flight to Croatia, and that's when our journey to Croatia began, where you can see that vlog here. Through our travel journey, we ended up in Thailand, where originally our plan was to be in Thailand for a couple years and then eventually settle in Portugal. We both just fell in love with Portugal so much. I don't want to make this whole video about the breakup, so fast forward to living in Thailand, and we lived all over Thailand together, and then when we got to Chiang Mai, he broke up with me. Here we are in a brand new part of Thailand, a brand new place, and I found myself completely alone, as well as adjusting to a new place. So I had moved to multiple countries alone before, and I was this super independent traveler before. Throughout COVID and throughout our relationship, I kind of lost my ability to put myself through big challenges, as well as I developed social anxiety, and I forgot what it was like to kind of be somewhere alone again. Here are my tips for getting through heartbreak as a nomad. First off, I want to say that this was truly the hardest heartbreak of my entire life. There were times I felt like I was fully dying. The old version of me was dying. All my old beliefs, what I thought life was going to be, being married and creating a life together and continuing our travels together and really building something together, that all had to die and I had to grieve it all. So when it first happened, I feel like the old version of me would go into depression and blame everything on myself and just really sit in pain. I tend to just be great at sitting in pain, kind of going into a dark place. Something kind of hit me I realized that I had spent years putting this person before myself, and I had spent years like tending to this person's wants and needs. It was kind of time, as hard as it was, to finally put that energy toward myself. That's kind of what I did. It wasn't an easy process, and the number one thing I would say, allow yourself to sit in your pain and your grief, but also do at least one thing a day for yourself. Even if it's something as simple as making yourself a meal, going out for a walk, journaling, saying some affirmations, maybe listening to a podcast, going to the gym, whatever it is, do at least one thing a day for yourself. For me, I immerse myself back into my career, which is fitness. So I truly became obsessed with taking my body to the next level, and I really dove into bodybuilding and challenging my body in an entirely new way. I have been a fitness trainer for over 17 years. I used to own a gym in California for years. I have always done a certain type of training, but I didn't really do bodybuilding training. So this was an entirely new challenge for me to challenge my body in an entirely new way. And that was my one promise to myself every day, was to stick to my workouts. Truly, that was life-changing for me. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is nomad guilt, because I personally deal with this a lot. I don't know if this is going to resonate with anybody. When I'm traveling, I tend to feel like I constantly need to see the place. I constantly need to be doing things. Living in Thailand has been different because I've been living here longer than I have been in other countries. I now have a 1-year lease. I have a cat now. It's just an entirely new experience, but I still sometimes feel that nomad guilt as I've gotten more comfortable with being at home longer and working from home and kind of have my little routine here. And facing that nomad guilt, I like to call it, is a real thing. You can feel like you're maybe wasting your time in a place, or you can feel as if you're not getting to experience a place, and you might even become resentful of your ex because you feel like your whole experience has become healing from your heartbreak. And I just want to say that it's okay to have those chapters and to give yourself love and patience through it. I think if I didn't have those days, those weeks that I just allowed myself to feel and grieve, I wouldn't be where I am today. For me, it's been an important part of my healing journey. I got into spirituality and healing in my later 20s, and I'm now in my 30s. I cut alcohol out of my life about 4 years ago, and I feel things really intensely because it's a lot of stuff coming to the surface that I used to kind of numb before. But honestly, as painful and hard as it is, because I'm a highly sensitive person, I still am so grateful that I allow myself to feel, because I'm letting it process through my body. There's a book called The Body Keeps the Score that I listen to on audiobook. The Body Keeps the Score really talks about how we hold all these pains and traumas in our body, and they start to manifest into diseases or whatnot. I truly believe that. I would rather have days, weeks, however long it is, of allowing myself to feel and process emotions than to try to numb myself. I think it's essential for self-growth to really shed the old version of yourself. I am in this phase that I'm continuing to try to shed this old version of myself because I'm willing and ready to become the version of myself that I've always wanted to be. So eliminate that nomad guilt. I find when I give myself an entire day to just like cry and really feel everything. The next day, I usually feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders and I feel just like a lot more free. The next thing I'm going to talk about is if you are in a new place, or even if you're in a place that you've been in for a while and you're going through heartbreak, it is extremely lonely. And I think it's important to create a support system, even if it's not people that you meet and you really open up to about what you're going through, but just getting yourself out there. That was essential for me, was getting myself out there. And especially because during COVID, we were spending 24/7 together and I kind of lost my support system and I lost having friendships. I have a lot of friends in other countries that I've lived in before, but it's not always easy to keep contact. We're always like sending each other voice messages and trying to schedule calls, but it's just not the same as having a support system where you live. So something that I did was I joined a local Facebook group. So normally you can find Facebook groups for the place that you're currently living in or traveling to, but I would say especially look for women's Facebook group. And I found so many events. And I even started teaching free workout classes because that's something that is such a huge passion of mine. And I hadn't done it since before COVID. It made me feel like myself again. And I can't say enough that these small little things just made me feel I had a sense of myself again. At least try to go to one Facebook event a week when you're going through this. Trust me, I know it's scary, and a lot of times my social anxiety would try to tell me to not go. I went and did painting classes, breath work, sound bath. I went and did plant medicine, ice baths. I went to a grief workshop to talk about my grief of not only this relationship, but the grief of my father. I started going to kirtans and singing, and that really helped me express myself more. I started learning how to drum. All of these things that were completely out of my comfort zone and so new to me, and things that I'm not even good at, but just getting myself out there was so essential in just my healing. And I can't encourage this enough to at least promise yourself one event a week and just go and do it. Just say yes and do it. And I want to also just note that it's important to choose events that nourish you and don't drain you. Obviously, I don't drink alcohol anymore, but if I did, if I were to go back to just going to bars all the time and drinking, I probably would feel worse. Than when you're going to these events, really think about what's gonna nourish you and make you feel a lot better compared to kind of taking you a couple steps back on your healing journey. And I also want to note that it's okay if you go to an event and you just don't feel good. You can always leave. I had times that like I've come back from things, especially in the beginning, and I would just cry because emotion in me, but I think that's all part of the healing journey. And so it's not always going to be the most perfect experience, but you should give yourself credit for at least putting yourself out there. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is something that I know a lot of people struggle with: cutting the energetic tie completely. So my ex actually blocked me. Honestly, I'm so happy that he did, because that allowed me to cut the energetic tie. And when he blocked me, I decided, and I stuck to that promise, to never look at his social media. Everybody has multiple accounts. I could have asked friends. I have a lot of friends that still follow him. I had let a lot of my friends know that if they see anything, to just not let me know. In the past, I admittedly would have probably obsessively checked all the time and seen what they're doing, but this time I didn't. Made a promise to myself. I knew it would only cause me further pain and torture. And also, you have to remember, even if you do slip up and look, social media is just on the surface. And I've even had ex-boyfriends tell me in the past that they had posted on social media as if they're so happy and moved on, and they would reach out to me and they would tell me that they were miserable and that they were just posting that because they felt like they had to put this image out. So you just never know what you can trust on social media. So if you do slip up, that's okay. okay? I would just imagine he doesn't exist anymore. And it sounds delusional, but it's true and it works. That's why a lot of people recommend it, because it works. And something that I wholeheartedly believe is that the more energy that I put towards my ex, that is preventing something new and beautiful to enter my life. And I'm gonna tell you guys something that happened that really threw me for a tailspin. It's been about 6 months now since we went no contact, because when we did first break up, we did try to repair things again. If you watch my cat video, you will see that we got 2 cats together and it kind of brought us back together, and we did try to repair things. But then on Christmas of this last year, we officially ended things and went completely no contact. And that is kind of when I began the official journey of pretending he no longer exists. About a couple weeks ago, I had finally found a sense of peace, and I was feeling really good within myself and my healing journey. I had truly no clue what he was doing with his life, because like I said, I told nobody to tell me. I didn't look once, like he didn't exist to me anymore. And I can't even believe that I'm going to say this on camera, but I received a Facebook message request, and it was from his new girlfriend, and she had sent me photos of him and her. She just sent me a bunch of photos. I gave myself a day or two to really process this and take it in, because a lot of things went through my head of all the things that were said that I realized weren't true, feeling replaced, and really just like having to kind of start my grieving process all over again. It was such a shock that I was kind of doing the right thing of not outwardly looking for information, and funny enough, the information came to me instead. And when this happened, and after I really sat with it, and again, I let myself feel it, I let myself cry, I let myself grieve, I let myself shed empty promises and thought I knew somebody, and in reality, I didn't at all. The biggest thing for me is that I got to a point of feeling like the longer I hold on to this and the longer I think about this, I'm actually not opening up the energy to something new. And something that really hit me hard when I finally realized that was that he found somebody on his level. And this isn't to put them down, but I am somebody who loves self-growth, and I am somebody who wants to grow not only in myself, but when I'm in relationship and just in life in general. I'm happy for him that he found somebody on his level, because I am trying to find somebody on such a higher level. And this allowed me to kind of put the nail in the coffin. It allowed me to kind of step away from sadness of my heartbreak and to kind of step into a healthy version of anger. And when I say healthy version of anger, I just mean this really lit a fire in me. Part of me is like, okay, it's kind of funny that his new girlfriend went out of her way to find me when I'm just over here living my life. But then at the same time, this is just fueling me to continue to go after my dreams, to continue to up level, to continue to shed. And if anything, it made me realize, oh my gosh, I truly thought this person was my everything for years and gave every part of myself to this person, and they didn't value that at all. And so I'm not gonna sit here and continue to give them my energy. I'm gonna put all of that energy back into myself, and I'm just going to up level even more. And so it kind of lit this fire energy within me, which I used to be the sad girl. I used to be the sad girl so much. And now I kind of feel like that allowed me to just fully shed. That last little string that I was holding on is now crumbled. And so I'm truly grateful for that whole experience, as painful as it is, because his new girlfriend, by sending me those photos, she set me free. She set me free on a deeper level, and she set me free from the subconscious ties that I didn't even know I was still holding on to. You have the right to create an entirely new chapter and journey for yourself, and you deserve it. If you are like me and you gave your all to somebody for so long, you finally deserve to put that energy toward yourself, and you finally deserve to make your life the dream that you've always wanted. I still have days where I might think of something or something might come up, and I do just miss being loved, but I also am full on trusting the universe, and I'm full on trusting that all of this self-growth I'm doing, all of this work I'm doing on myself, all of the energy that I'm putting towards myself, and is going to allow the person of my dreams to walk into my life. And I wholeheartedly believe that I'm going to appreciate it so much more, and I'm going to one day have the man in my life that's gonna value me on such a deep level that if you're watching this and you haven't felt valued, we deserve to feel valued. We deserve to feel valued. We deserve to have ease. We deserve to feel nurtured. Whatever it is that you desire, you deserve it all. As cheesy as it is, we do have to give it to ourselves first, and we do have to give it to ourselves in this journey in order to fully feel it when we meet that person. We can fully take it all in. And just remember that if your ex does move on very fast after you, that they aren't doing the same healing journey. I want to also mention that it's okay to go through phases. No contact official breakup happened. I happened to be on an airplane visiting the US for the first time in 5 years because my grandpa died. And I also went and visited my second home in Hawaii as well. I call it my second home because it feels like my soul forever home, and all of my friends who feel like soul family live there. And so I went and visited Hawaii as well. So it was kind of good timing in a sense that I got to really go and be in a place that I love again. And when I came back to Thailand and when I came back to Chiang Mai, I decided to kind of keep myself busy because a lot of people have trouble sitting and feeling, where I feel like I'm the complete opposite, and I can feel way too much, and I can really stay in this phase of being alone constantly. I decided to challenge myself to a yes challenge, and I just started to say yes to everything. Book events, workshops, women's meetups, a girls trip to Singapore, a girls trip to Phuket, which I have a vlog on. And yeah, I just continue to say yes to things that I would have held myself back from before because I was too sad. I would say the last 2 months I've kind of been in more of a homebody phase, and I think in the beginning of healing from the breakup I really needed kind of put myself out there, and for now I'm just enjoying my home, and it's rainy season here in Chiang Mai. So I just want to say to allow yourself to have those phases. You can have a phase where you're going out all the time and constantly doing things, and then you can have a phase where you kind of just go a little bit more inward. Another tip I want to say is diving into your self-growth. As you can see behind me, I have all of these books. I dove deep into reading books. I have about 10 books on my Audible that I'm constantly listening to all the time. Personally, I don't really watch television, and what I do is I have a little walking pad in front of my TV, and I watch podcasts and motivational YouTubes while walking on my walking pad. And that way I feel like I'm not only getting movement in, but I'm doing something healthy for my brain and my mindset and my subconscious as well. I'm a huge podcast lover. The past 6 months, I have read so many books, listened to so many podcasts, watched so many YouTubes, and there was a while where I thought, is this even entering my brain? Past few weeks, I have noticed the way I handle situations when my mind is kind of down spiraling or when I'm having a bad day. I just notice my subconscious truly changing, and I think that it's because I'm constantly listening to these things on mindset, and it's starting to actually shift my subconscious. I know what it's like when you're first going through the breakup and you don't want to hear this whatsoever, but this really is a time for you to focus on you and to dive into parts of yourself that you might have abandoned, or parts of yourself that just might need some extra love and care. You might as well pour into yourself right now. So anyways, you guys, I hope that this video was helpful. This is so different than something I would normally do. It's totally out of my comfort zone, but I wanted to share my journey because I might seem okay now. Besides my dad's death when I was 18, this was probably one of the most challenging things that I have ever had to go through, and process and grieve and kind of rise from the ashes, rebirth myself in a way, I have come to realize that I am grateful for this whole experience, and I'm actually excited for what's to come and enter my life. And I just want to say that if you are watching this and you are struggling, please feel free to reach out to me, whether it's a comment on here or a message on Instagram, because I know what it's like to feel completely alone. I don't wish that feeling on anybody, and so I am here for you. Don't be afraid to reach out to me. I'm sending you guys so much love if you watch this, and if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I'm excited to keep you guys updated of my life here in Thailand, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day.